Good evening, everyone. I think we are the only ones which is between the drinks and the whole the gathering. So let us start with this. It's a very interesting topic which we had. Most of us are only envisioning what will happen in 6G. We have been hearing a lot of about 5G and what will happen in 6G throughout the day. Uh, but here, what I imagine is while growing up, I'm a Star Wars fan, and while growing up, I used to see all those uh, holograms, AI-enabled systems which are interacting with each other. And when we used to see that, what is happening now is technologies, I think, is enabling all that. And 6G would be one of those technologies which will bring that extrasensory experiences for us, AI-enabled connected equipments, connected networks, all that to us made it realize, and the visions which we have, the dreams which we have, the reaching to stars dreams which we had when we were growing up, it will make all that happen. That's the vision which we have. India being 1.4 billion population, one of the youngest nations in the world, the per capita income increasing day by day, which brings India at a place where the whole world is watching us. When I say whole world is watching us, it's, I think, the right time where India takes its right space in the world. We start leading it, and that brings us to the topic, how this 6G can bring an opportunity where we shape the global standards. We help define the global standards. So starting the topic, by Mr. Bhargav, I will start the question with you. What
Thank you.
makes India, and what are the strengths India has, which will, excuse me,
Thank you,
yeah,
Amitos.
yeah, this is
Uh,
Vyom, yeah.
people are still, just a couple of sessions back, people were discussing monetization of 5G after the great deployment which we in India have done, and we are now talking 6G. So the two TSP reps sitting besides me and Kochar Saab would say, Pehle, let me, see the money, then I'll tell you about 5G. But coming to the standardization and coming to the opportunity part, this we started with 5G when we started contributing to the standard, and TSDSI did some good groundbreaking work. On 6G, I would say we are in the right space and right place, and government, by announcing the whole 6G alliance, Bharat 6G alliance, has put it hurts where normally the mouth is kind of a situation. So we have the system in place. TEC is looking at standardization. There is a full support for creating patent, creating, suggesting things. We have already contributed some of the important items where we are certain that Indian patents will perhaps in a large number find place in the standards. So it is a huge, huge opportunity, and India stack for 4G is already under deployment. 5G is already tested. It is beyond the lab test, and we will have the whole testing and patent ecosystem uh, along with the industry academy and TSP partnership. I am sure that we are now, instead of bystanders or buyers of technology, we are going to be in a big way contributors to technology, and that's the opportunity 6G is bringing about.
Thank you. So my next question is to Dr. Uttavasakaran. So I would like to understand, uh, we and government is spending a lot for the right for the 6G for India to be in the right place. What do you think? Which industries uh, will be the most impacted by 6G in India? And when I say most industries, we have to keep the government mandate of providing technology to everyone, enabling our citizens to leverage the technology for the benefit of them. So considering all this, which industries you see will be the most in the forefront of shaping 6G for India?
So thank you, Arya. And to the audience, just let me introduce. TCIL is Telecommunications India Limited, is a government-owned organization, and it's a 45-year-old organization. We are into telecom and civil and IT infrastructure project executing agency. Primarily, we are system integrators, and we have had footprints in more than 80 countries. In fact, we closely coordinate here with all stakeholders, be it DOT, CDOT, TPC, as well as TMA, and then our voice members. So we facilitate even the startup companies who have a lot of ideas, and we empanel them, and then we give them the opportunity to market their products also. And we are looking forward to mature technology, telecom technology, be it 5G, later on 6G. We would be facilitating for marketing in African countries mostly, who are lagging behind. Now coming to 6G, we are just into 5G, and still now even the use cases and the ecosystem is also not fully developed. When we talk about 6G, definitely the vision document itself says that by 2030, and the major players who are into developing 6G technology, be it South Korea, China, Japan, European Union, as well as US. If you go, it all says that definitely it is going to mature by only 2030. It's a long way around. But what I perceive is it's going to be a disruptive technology, and which is going to be 100 times faster than the 5G. I feel this will be a driver for economic growth, and especially for the rural population. Now you see, for employment, people are just moving to urban areas, metro areas, and it puts a lot of stress on the infrastructure. I feel once 6G is in place, perhaps that will facilitate them to be there in their own place. The whole thing, like manufacturing, is one thing which is going to be greatly, utilizing this 6G technology. Education sector. I just, visualize that persons for acquiring degrees, higher education degrees, etc. Now they are going to US, UK. They need not have to go. They can have the classroom set up here itself. They can be here without spending much money. They can acquire the degrees. So education is going to be transformational, and similarly healthcare. Healthcare also is going to be a major beneficiary with all this artificial intelligence, and then AR, VR, and all. So health sector is one area. Education sector is another. Manufacturing, and then autonomous vehicles. These are the 4 areas which I feel that they are going to immensely benefit from 6G.
So thank you. Now my next question is to Rahul. Uh, all these 6 years happened. We are still not only in India, across the globe. The use cases, 5G monetization is still lagging behind. Operators have done a huge amount of investments. They're still recovering them, or I will say it's far away from recovering them. What's the use of 6G if 5G is still we are not able to gain benefits from it?
I think it's a very pertinent question you have asked. I think every generation of technology brings an evolution in the way we are, applying our use cases, doing fresh things. I was listening to the panel before us. They talked about the evolution from email, then to video, to content creation, and then going ahead. And when we look towards 6G in future, we are talking about much more use of AI, NTN, faster speeds. But what really needs to happen first is that we need to create a sustainable cycle of investments. So while it's important to jump to every evolution and to every technology stage, it's important that you are able to create a virtuous cycle of investment so that you are able to continuously invest in upgrading your networks. So 5G is not it. There is going to be 5G advanced, then from 5G advanced you're going to go to 6G. And as of now, we heard about 2030. The 6G is going to be based primarily on the 5G core, or things like that. So that is where the question is. Now let's look at what is happening around the world. We were in Barcelona last month, and I was talking to one of the South Korean operators. They launched 5G in 2018. We are sitting in 2024. He said only 20% of the 5G network is utilized. This is for a society which is a very highly evolved society on gaming, for example, as a use case. Right? In India, we're struggling with the use case itself, but at least they have a use case which is there. For that advanced society to say that my network after 6 years of investment is just 20% utilized is a reflection, which is there. So I think the important point is to understand that you do want a gradation of evolution of technology to take place. At the same time, it's also important to understand how are we going to make it happen. So then create that virtuous cycle of investment and say, okay, we are going to create enough paths ahead for us to continue to evolve and stretch into technology. Right now, getting 5G monetization is a challenge, right? So while we head towards 6G, it's important to do this balance. So there are two split parts here. The first split part is, I think we should focus our energies on standardization. We should focus our parts on research, on developing, the wherewithals where we can lead this next stage of revolution. At the same time, it's important to create opportunities for monetizing of, what you're going to create. And I think that if we are able to reach a cusp of both of these two, that's when we really see something happening. So right now, the earliest ecosystems you are seeing is only around maybe around 2030. They are saying we are going to finalize standards by 2029. And please understand, it's a vast area. You will have a discussion. You will have papers being submitted. You will have, a test bed being created. Then a chip is going to get created. Then a hardware is going to get created. And finally, you will reach a point where you will start having a commercial rollout. It's a long way off. So let's continue on that journey, but create that ecosystem where people are able to reach towards that point.
My next question is to Dr. Salim. What role academia can play with the government to formalize the standards?
Right. Thank you for the question, Vyom. Academia and the industry have always been either a little far ahead or a little far behind. But what I feel is that now the fact that India was slightly slow in terms of rolling out its 5G initially, but the pace at which they rolled out 5G within a matter of few months is something that we are proud about. But more importantly, the fact that 6G is about 6 years away, at least, and we are already worrying about it is what is good. Because we don't want to miss the boat this time. And 6 years, although it does seem to be a long time enough, but with the Bharat 6G vision document being made available to the whole country, if you like, and not only the industry players, but the academic people are also jumping onto the bandwagon. And I'll take this opportunity to apprise the August gathering here that our Honorable Prime Minister has announced, I think in the month of October last year, the formation of 100 institutions which were given these so-called 5G labs. And our AMU, Aligarh, is also one of them. And we've already signed MOU with TCIL. We have one gentleman from there just last week for getting all the equipment. We had the DOT officials visiting our university to see the premises. So we're all working in the right direction, hopefully. And this vision document is quite good and quite comprehensive. And we obviously are working together with the industry. Also, we would like to have collaborations with whatever industry that we think is interested in collaborating with academia. We at AMU came into this area in early 2000 when around 2004 we were given a Center for Wireless Networks as a specialized advanced center, which I was heading at that time. And then we haven't looked back since then. And we've organized so many events which are all there for everyone to notice and see. And we hope for the best in the future. Thank you.
Mr. Kocher, my next question is for you. Bharat vision is out. Now, 6G vision is out. What we need to do, the phase-wise 2 phases are out. What's, as per you, industry demands from the government to do more to achieve that?
The vision document is out, but like Rahul said, we are still in the 5G era. And we are struggling with the issues which have been raised by 5G. Rather than directly addressing your question, let me address it obliquely. If you see the transition from 1G and going up to 6G, if you see all the odd Gs which have come, 1G, 3G, 5, we are going through the process, have been areas where we try to formulate new technologies and find new application, new monetization areas. But we are not really monetized in the odd Gs. Where we are monetized and where we are matured is in the even Gs. So I look at 5G as a precursor for 6G. So what we are learning, the lessons that we are learning in 5G, the policies and the frameworks which are emerging because of the lessons of 5G are the ones which will be carried on to the 6G. And the focus there will be more on applications and how to monetize. And because 6G is an extension of 5G technologically, therefore the transition will be not as abrupt as from 4G to 5G. It will be a gradual transition. And there even the policies and regulations and technology will emerge, will evolve as the time goes by.
Thank you. Ravi, my question is for you now because Ms. Kocher has raised pertinent questions about why 5G is or not. 5G is not even able to utilize completely. Sorry, yeah. So what I'm saying is operators as of now have their own capex opex pressures due to 5G. The investments have gone into 5G. What as an operator you would be doing to mitigate this impact of 6G?
I disagree with Mr. Kocher because the topic here is global standards framework for 6G, not the monetization framework for 5G. So I would like to skip that question, but yeah, certainly on standardization I'll speak. Why standardization is very important and why standardization is important right now. 5G standards were being developed in 2016, 17, 18. Okay, and 2024 is the time when we have now 5G network to be there. So it has taken 7-8 years. So we are not much ahead of time. The time has already passed because if 2030 we want to see 6G network, this is the time for standardization. So the debate is not about whether the 5G monetization need to be taken care or not. I think let's stick to the topic. Standardization is very important. India is taking the lead. We have already got few points introduced in the form of ubiquity. Sustainability also we have worked to, these are the two things probably which are going to be very, very critical for 6G standards. And why so? Ubiquity anyway, it's much easier for India to achieve as compared to many other countries in the globe, like bigger countries like US, Russia, etc., which are lesser population density and larger geographic areas. It's very difficult for them to actually achieve ubiquity. For us, it's slightly easier as compared to them. Sustainability is going to be very, very important because when you are moving towards the higher spectrum band with the quantum of spectrum would be high, because unless you have that much of quantum, you will not be able to achieve what you want to achieve in 6G. The power requirement in those networks is going to be very, very critical. So I think that in the standards, this power optimization and power is going to be one area where I think all these people who are making standards and developing equipment have to take care. That is why probably sustainability is one of the important pillar of 6G development. So that's one area. Second question was asked around why 6G, why 5G, why 4G. So when there was 3G, this same question came up, why 4G? 3G is more than sufficient. 4G came, why 5G? 4G is more than sufficient. So this question would always be there, and probably it does not require any answer. Time will give the answer to that question. What exactly 6G will do as compared to 5G, and why it would be slightly more important for India as compared to others? 6G would actually provide you a much lower latency than 5G because 4G, 5G, 6G are all access technologies. In the access leg, which is between user to the network, that leg will give you much higher capacity, much lower latency. So the moment you have that, moment you multiply your capacity, the download speed, upload speed, and lower the latency, it gives you the power to do edge computing, power to actually utilize the resources in the network. Instead of putting all the resources in the user device, you can put the resources in the network and do the fast compute there. So it would help in actually proliferating AI, machine learning, and reduce the cost of consumer devices. So because all intelligence can be moved up in the network. So that's what I feel the 6G will bring in to that, while it's not specific to any particular industry. It will be across industry, everywhere, across all sectors. But that is the fundamental change probably which 6G may bring. Thank you.
Thank you. My next question is to Mr. Bhatnagar. What you think, and then once you answer, I will ask Mr. Bharadwaj to answer you, because the question which I'm asking, his answer lies with him, is what do you think needs to change in the regulatory space, which will enable us, first of all, shaping the global standards and moving towards the 6G era?
Okay. You see, we might have missed the bus as far as the earlier technologies like 2G, 3G, 4G, etc. were concerned. But definitely as far as 6G is concerned, we are not late. The Bharat 6G vision document was announced by the Prime Minister. That was in last week of March last year. That was prior to the announcement of the ITU recommended finalization of the first set of the ITU recommendations M2023 by ITU, which had actually happened on June 23. So we were earlier to that. And as far as the announcement of a 6G alliance is also concerned, that we had done it on 2nd of July. So within a few days of the announcement of the vision document by the Prime Minister, ITU recommendations, we were ready with the what is required to be done. In fact, when the Prime Minister had gone to USA, so there was in the joint statement between the government of USA and the government of India, there is a very, very specific reference to what we are going to do on 6G, a close cooperation between India and USA. Already a rip and replacement program is already on which also issues relating to the standardization are going to be there. What really is required, in fact, 10 days back, there was a meeting, Reliance, Airtel, everyone was part of the discussion which DOT had organized on the rip and replacement program. So therein you see a need was felt that as for the standards and certification process is concerned, that should be identical. If, say, for example, Tejas or TCS, they are having a one set of the certification and set of the testings, and Geo is having another set. If they go to USA for rip and replacement program, there will be issues will be there. Certification, a different set of issues are going to be there. So that becomes very important as far as the 6G is concerned. We need to ensure that everyone is working on the same set of the standards, same set of the specification. And as far as the national standards are concerned, we should be having one set of the national standards. And whether it is Airtel or it is Jio or it is Vodafone or it is TCS, everyone in the BSNL network, so you see everyone is complying to the same set of standards and everyone is having the same set of standards. So Telecom Engineering Center is having the national working groups. Maybe we still have the time as for the actual implementation of 6G's networks are concerned, but we can fine tune in such a way that we are fully prepared for that, and India's Prime Minister's vision of the global leadership, etc. So in line with that expectation and the vision of the country, we are ready as far as the standards are concerned. Identical set of standards are there. Identical set of the certification processes are also there, which are not only acceptable within the country by everyone across the ministries, because as far as the 5G and 6G are concerned, they're not just going to be confined to the network of the private operators. They're going to be applicable to the even enterprise networks. It could be the railway solution, it could be the solution for armed forces, it could be the solution for the mining sector. So multiple sectors are now going to be there. Same is going to be there, whether it is e-health, e-education, or those type of all frameworks. So we need a synchronized action to be done across by the entire ecosystem of the Indian industry. That is the area where the standardization is going to be very, very important. India is contributing actively as far as the national standards are concerned. We are having TSDSI. There's already formation of 6 working groups also are already there in the Bharat 6G Alliance. 6 working groups have already been announced, because there will be issues relating to the devices, there will be issues relating to the spectrum, there will be issues relating to the economies, there will be regulatory issues also are going to be there. So whether it should be because we are going to use the open platforms also in a much bigger way on the regulatory fronts, whether it should be a light touch regulation or it should be a very sort of a rigid regulatory policies also there. So maybe we'll have to take a call on that as well in the coming months.
Amit, just continuing with what you said, and thank you Bhatnagar Saab for laying out the whole thing right from standard to devices to the use cases. But from a government point of view, what we need to do is the enablement, whether it is the policy side or the regulation side. And I think I can confidently say this, and this is with the disclaimer, this is my view. Both the regulator and government since last few years have been working in a way to enable the industry, whether it is the operator side or it is the manufacturing ecosystem or the standard side. And India is not only talking but taking a lead. We have TSA global conference happening right in India 2-3 days before, prior to today. The curtain raiser was read, and the whole of the country together is coming. I am talking of telecommunication ecosystem. So is being coordinated to bring everything together. DOT today, as Professor Beg said, and I'm just saying, from somebody who used to sit at state capitals, the DOT officers are today going to academia to understand what support they need. As he said, and I am aware that, the whole LSA team of Meerut officers, including one officer from Delhi, were in Aligarh 4 days back, discussing everything along with people of TCIL to see that where is the position, what is it that they need, do they have the budgetary approvals, do they have sufficient budget? And that is the whole role which both policy and regulation side is aware and is playing this time. And that is why I'm saying perhaps we will not miss this bus. We may be delayed by a quarter or two, but we are there and we are together working, whether it is 6 working groups of TEC, whether it is, the Apex Council for Bharat 6G, they're having regular quarterly meetings. So all this will bring together the ecosystem, and we are sure that once the standards are frozen by TEC, as Dr. Bhatnagar said, and I'm perhaps repeating, everybody will follow the same standard and it will be in line, because we are pushing whatever we desire this time to ITU to make sure that that is the part of first 6G releases. And that's the role both policy and regulator will be playing.
Thank you. So, apart from ITU, there are other bodies which will be very, very important while we put the global standards framework. And what, as per India, we should be doing more. And this will be a question to multiple panel members. What should we be doing more to influence setup of this shape of these global standards? Because what gets shaped globally, we are, as India, I understand we are very proud of being Indian, but most of the mobile network and policies are being framed outside India as of now, and we are the adapters of that because of the market conditions, because they have the power, buying power as of now. What more we should be doing so that we are influencing the global standards? We are influencing what frameworks are getting set. And our points are included out there so that we as India get benefit out of it.
So, I think you raised a very good question. In an era after multiple centuries, we don't have the standards for measurement and weights. So most of the countries use different weights and measurement. Even the shoe size is also different. We can't actually, the globe could not converge on that. Whereas we could converge on mobile standards, thanks to ITU, thanks to GSMA, thanks to 3GPP. So I think these bodies have actually contributed into converging the technology developers to reach to the standards. So be it GSMA in getting all roaming standards and companies getting onto the roaming platforms, ITU of course has played a great role. So the global harmonization of standard in the high-tech technology is extremely important. So it is not about my standard to be accepted. It is about harmonizing the standard which are acceptable to everybody. As far as the standards is concerned, the standard should not be adversarial to me. If those standards are there and which are suiting me, it is irrespective of whether those standards have been framed by one country or by the other country. It does not affect the common person. Yes, as an aspiration, from the academia perspective, from R&D perspective, from industry perspective, yes, we should be contributing into the standards because that gives you leeway, IPRs, and manufacturing advantage and all those things. We should be, but not at the cost of any harmonization. So standards should always be harmonized. Earlier in the 1G era, there used to be 20 standards in mobile. Then 2G actually reduced it to 2 or 3. In the 3G, we came to 3GPP with practically one standard, and then parallelly some Wi-Fi started. In 4G, it has converged to LTE and some Wi-Fi, something happening. In 5G, probably this will get converged. To an extent, it is converging. In 6G, probably may get converged. So convergence of standard helps in common devices, reduction in cost, economies of scale both in network as well as on the device side, affordability for the users and all those things. And of course, the interoperability, which is very, very important. So that's why I think the question, probably I would pose the question in a different way. Instead of saying my standard to be accepted, rather than the standards should be acceptable and cover all my points, wherein I should be giving the contribution. Thank you.
And my next question is to
I would like to start from the stage. Mr. Ravi Gandhi had stopped. Actually, as the migration of standards are concerned, yeah, you see, the contribution becomes very, very important. So wherever any standardization body is there, they are taking a call. What should be the standards? So they decide based on the whatever inputs are available with them. So for that, the number of the contributions which are going, you see, that becomes very, very important. Because I've been part of the, in fact, personally, I've sent almost 50 of my papers are over a period of maybe last 2 decades, 50 of my papers are there at ITU. and I had participated in many of the ITU meetings as well. So there I had seen that countries like USA and China, you see, when there's a participation, they are coming with a very, very big delegations, coming out with very, very multiple set of the players are there, and they are trying to even keep the continuity also. Because normally what happens in India, sometimes you see DOT may be sending across one official, when the next meeting the ITU comes up, it will be a different set of official will be there. So we are missing the continuity. What is really required is the entire industry, the participation not only from DOT but from the entire industry. It should be there on a regular basis, and the continuity also needs to be maintained. Because otherwise what happens, you see, by the time a new set of the people are there, they will not know what exactly had happened in the previous one. So as far as the number of contributions from India are concerned, they are required to increase, and continuity also should be there. On 5G, for example, as far as the international standards are concerned, TSDSI played a very, very active role. We were able to influence as far as the formulation of standards are concerned, because for countries like developing countries, coverage with the rural areas, coverage of the larger set of the distances, that becomes important. So when we project these type of requirements, and when we say that there is a justification, then everyone realizes, okay, India is giving good suggestions, these are required to be accepted. So definitely we need to put forward whatever we need that is required to be projected in a very, very sort of a focused way, not only from the government but from the all participants. Because as far as the participation is concerned, our service providers also, they are part of it, part of ITU study groups also, they are participating. And the involvement also, now that 6G is there and we are having the vision to be the global leader. So the level of the participation, you see, that needs to increase, maybe a few fold increase by a factor of 4 to 5 times. That is really required. So that is suggestion from my side.
Thank you. The ring is already there. I would just.
Just our vision document says that the standards have to be developed in Indian context, and then it will be made global standards. For any developing standard, it's not a very easy job. First time this kind of ecosystem is being, with the government actively getting involved. This system is now in place. But I feel that to develop the standards, we require talent pools. Today, we understand around 3 lakh engineers, especially in chip design, they are working overseas. India has seen all the last 4 or 5 decades brain drain. So what is important is now government should focus on retention of talent pool. They should bring back, incentivize them so that they can concentrate, develop these standards which are matching the global standards. This area needs to be focused.
Mr. Kochar, would you like to conclude based on what has been discussed?
I tend to agree because standards is a difficult situation and it is new to India. So if we have to be there on the global scene, we have to definitely create standards which are acceptable across the world globally. And also we have to see that the logistics which are required to sell these standards in international bodies like ITU, 3GPP, to make it acceptable, that has to be shored up and that has to be augmented.
Thank you. It was a very interesting discussion. Thank you all for taking out time for this for this discussion, and wish you all best of luck. And thank you.